Welcome back to more Sip2Tally. I'm your host, Coach Evans, and today on the more Sip2Tally Power Rankings on June 24th, we're going to take a look at the number 24 team, that is the New England Patriots. They're coming off one of the worst seasons under the legendary coach Bill Belichick. They were 4-13. They finished last in the AFC East Division. Never thought I'd say this, but they have a new coach. Jared Mayo is a new coach, so they're starting a new regime in New England. And they're the number 24 team on here. Now, they have some weak spots, but they do have some strong points, which is one of the reasons why they're not one of the worst ranked teams, even though 24 is still bottom tier. But let's kind of get on into it and see what they do have, what their strong suits are, what their weak suits are, and see why they're ranked where they're ranked. All right, let's start with the quarterback room, which we always do. And in that quarterback room, I have their quarterback room ranked number 30. Probably going to be their starter is Jacoby Brissett. He played with the Commanders last year. Only played in 3 games, passed for a little over 200 yards and had 3 touchdowns. He was behind Sam Howell with the Commanders last year. Both of those guys are gone, no longer with the Commanders. They also drafted Drake May, who's probably eventually going to be the starter and may end up beating Jacoby Brissett out, but I think Brissett's going to start the season, and then Drake May is going to take over from him some point throughout the season. Bailey Zappi is an interesting story. He came in relief a lot last year. They kept starting Mac Jones and they kept putting Bailey Zappi in, and you could tell by the numbers: 10 games, over 1,200 yards, 6 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. They would start Mac, take him out, put Bailey Zappi in. Start Mac again, take him out, put Bailey Zappi in, especially toward the end of the year. So, in my eyes, why they just didn't start Bailey Zappi. But it is what it is. Mac's gone now. Bailey Zappi's still there, and now he has 2 guys in front of him instead of just Mac Jones. So, you still got a job, Bailey, but you got 2 guys in front of you now, and they spent a high pick on Drake May. So, it's going to be tough to supplant Drake May. Unless he's just complete dog, you know what. All right. Let's go on to their running back room. I have their running back room ranked 26. Now, they just paid Ramondre Stevenson a boatload of money, which is probably going to give him an opportunity to be the Patriots' all-time leading rusher. And I think that's what I saw. And if I'm wrong in that aspect, correct me in the comment section. But I think with the contract that he got, he has the opportunity to become the Patriots' all-time leading rusher. I think I saw that somewhere. But again, if I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. I would say Patriots fans, but just football fans in general. Ramondre Stevenson played in 12 games last year, a little over 600 yards, 4 yards per carry, 4 touchdowns, and had 38 catches. They got Antonio Gibson from the Commanders. Played in 16 games. Now, Antonio Gibson is a little hybrid. He's slot receiver / running back. He can do a little bit of both. He had 48 catches last year with 2 touchdowns. Rounding out that room is Kevin Harris, who played in 4 games, had 65 yards rushing, only had 3 catches for 58 yards. And again, that running back room is ranked 26. Now, I know Ramondre is pretty good. Antonio Gibson is more of the slash of the running back position. But I need to see results out of them before I bump them up. It's like Ramondre, keep in mind, this is my rankings are past results mixed in with what I think is going to happen this year. So it's not just past results, oh, you did this, you're going to be this. Or it's not what I project, you're going to be this. It's a mixture of both. So just because Ramondre has been good in the past, that don't necessarily mean I think he's going to be good in the future. Same thing with Antonio Gibson. So I kind of try to merge that stuff together, and that's why I got him 26. And keep in mind, it took me a long time to do this list, so I ain't just find some numbers and throw them together. I did put some thought into it. But 26 on the running back room. All right, their wide receiver room, which is very, very interesting. I have them ranked as the last wide receiver room. And let's go through who's in this room first, and we'll talk about it. Kendrick Bourne, last year played in 8 games, 55 catches, 406 yards. Demario Douglas, 14 games, 556 yards, 11 yards per catch. Jalen Pope, a rookie from University of Washington, who they drafted. They got KJ Osborne from the Vikings last year. He was their number 3 receiver when he was number 2 when Jay Jettis was out, but he was their number 3 receiver. He had 48 catches, 540 yards, 3 touchdowns. They also still have Juju. I think they still have Juju. Let me make sure. Is Juju still on? Yeah, they still have Juju. Juju played in 11 games at 260 yards and 1 touchdown. They drafted Javon Baker from UCF, which is a guy I really like. So they drafted 2 wide receivers, which they are addressing that receiver room, which is one of the reasons why I have them ranked 32. And I normally give you 6 guys, but because their room is so bad, the competition is going to be so tough. I also had to throw in there Tyquan Thornton, who's a young guy from Baylor, and Kayshon Boutte, who's another young guy from LSU. Not rookies, but they're young. So I normally give you 6, but I'm giving you 8 because the competition to be on this team for wide receiver is going to be tough. Now, I will say this. In my eyes, since my wide receiver room is so bad, I'd go with all them young guys. Unless they're like troublemakers. And I take Boutte, I take Thornton, I take Baker, I take Polk. I definitely keep them 4 guys, and then the two best of those older guys, and go from there. But I keep them young guys and try to get them to grow with Drake May and roll with that, because my wide receiver room can't get any worse. That's what I would do. But I'm just a guy. Let's go on to the tight end room before we spend too much time at wide receiver, because I'm passionate about wide receiver play and I'll be forever there. Their tight end room, I have it ranked number 19. I like Hunter Henry. He had played 14 games, 10 yards per catch, 6 touchdowns. Austin Hooper, who I think at one point played with the Browns, if I'm not mistaken. Let me make sure. That's the same Austin Hooper. They played with the Browns and Tennessee and played with the Raiders last year. Austin Hooper, 25 catches, 234 yards, 9.4 yards per catch, and they're rounding out that room is Mitchell Wilcox. So I had their tight end room ranked number 19. It's a nice little tight end room. So that's a good little safety net for Drake May whenever he decides to take off, or if Jacoby Brissett get in that room and start balling, which would be all hell would break loose as Jacoby Brissett go to balling. Looking at their O-line, and I was going to say Boston, but New England has always had a decent O-line and had a knack for taking okay guys and turning them into decent O-linemen. Never really had like a star, but they'll take 5 guys, mesh those guys into basically one, and they play well together. So the left tackle is Okafor, who got him from the Steelers. Cole Strange is one of those guys that is not a big name, but he just fits. Jake Andrews, Sidy So, and their best O-lineman is Owenu. He graded out at 71.5 according to PFF, and you take PFF how you want to take it. But I got that O-line ranked 15, and they always have a solid O-line in New England. Who I don't know who their O-line coach is, and if he's, I don't know if he's new because they changed coaching staff or whatever, but whoever it's been being, he's always managed to get guys together and they play well together. They play as one, and they've always been able to run the ball decently in New England for a long time. Even when Brady was there chunking around the yard, they was able to have a solid O-line, whether it was the pass game was their strength or the run game was their strength. Let's go over to the dark side. D-line edge. I have their D-line edge group ranked number 16. Now, their D-line edge group is I want to say 3-4. I want to confirm. Yes, 3-4. So they got 2 stand-up outside linebacker type deals, and they're going to have 3 interior guys. Normal 3-4 stuff, you have a 0 and 2 3s or 2 2s, however you want to play it. Then you have stand-up guys, but they can kind of play different games in it. But you normally have a nose tackle, which that guy generally is a 0 or some form of a shade. Shading meaning a 1 to either side of the center. But Keon White played 4 games last year on one side, Judon on the other side, and this name is not on this list, but he'll definitely be in that mix. And that's what's my guy's name? I'm trying to think of his name. It's running from me already. Josh Uche. I didn't put Josh Uche's name on here, but he'll definitely be in the mix with that edge stuff, especially when they go in the nickel. But you got Keon White, Matt Judon, who only played in 4 games. He got hurt last year, but Judon is always pushing double-digit sacks. Uche, had been pushing double-digit sacks also with Judon, and they got a little stunt game that they play with Judon that he's mastered. He's mastered. Most of his sacks came off that, not last year, but the year before that, most of Judon's sacks came off that little stunt, the little twist, and they've mastered that with the interior defensive lineman. And speaking of interior defensive lineman, they got Devon Gacho, played 17 games, 56 tackles, 1 QB hit. Barmore, who's a dog in the middle of the defense, 64 tackles, 8.5 sacks, 16 QB hits. And I think Barmore is the guy that's going to really set it up for everybody else. If he has a good year, the rest of the guys around him will have a good year too. And Dietrich Wise is pretty solid also, 54 tackles, 4.5 sacks, and 6 QB hits. So I have that defensive line edge group ranked number 16. Going to the linebacker room. Now this might be a surprise for some, but I have their linebacker room ranked number 5. Rank number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like Dave Chappelle say. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5th. Jelani Tavia. 16 games, 110 tackles, 5 TFLs, 2 interceptions, 5 passes defended, 1 forced fumble, 1 sack. And Jawan Bentley, 16 games, 114 tackles, 5 TFLs, 3 PDs, 1 forced fumble, 4.5 sacks. Now, there's a reason I bumped them up the way I did. Their play is part of it. Their play is part of it. And remember, earlier in this episode, I told you I take in what they did in the past versus what I think they're doing in the future. Their head coach is one of the best linebacker coaches in the game. So his coaching, based off what they did in the past versus what I think they're going to do with, I just talked about Barmore up front, having a healthy Judon, having a healthy Uche, having a healthy, with Keon White, what he doing with those guys, with Gaucho up front too. I think these 2 guys are going to eat and have amazing years. Amazing years. That's why I have them ranked 5. Tell me if you agree with me in the comment section. And if you haven't dropped a like on the video so far, please do that also. It helps the channel grow. We're trying to get to 1,000, so we almost at 900. So let's try to get to 1,000 before the season start. But I have this group ranked number 5, and I really like and really interested to see what this group does throughout the year. Let's go to the cornerback room. I have that cornerback room ranked 26. In that cornerback room, Jonathan Jones, 14 games, 48 tackles, 57.4 reception percentage, 5 PBUs. Christian Gonzalez, who's a rookie last year, got hurt. Depending on how he comes back from injury, this ranking could go up. He got hurt last year. He only played 4 games. 2/3 of the passes thrown to him were catches. But Christian Gonzalez, coming out of Oregon, if I'm not mistaken, was solid. He was solid. He was, if I'm not mistaken, their first-round draft pick last year. So depending on how well he bounces back from injury, their ranking could go up in the cornerback room. And then Marcus Jones only played in 2 games last year, 5 tackles. And those are their top 3 corners coming back from last year. So that's why they're ranked where they are, because we don't really know what we're going to get from Christian Gonzalez. Marcus Jones didn't play that much, and then Jonathan Jones is what he is. So the cornerback room is ranked 26. And then you go to the safety room. This is their best room on the team. Kyle Duggar, Jabril Peppers, 2 well-known names in the NFL. Kyle Duggar, 17 games, 109 tackles, 6 TFLs, 2 interceptions. Now that catch percentage for him doesn't really bother me because Kyle Duggar's a thumper. He's going to fit in the run game. He's going to play you a little small linebacker role. He's going to do a bunch of different things. Jabril Peppers is kind of do the same thing for you. 15 games, 78 tackles, 5 TFLs, 2 interceptions, 58.8 catch percentage, 5 PBUs, and 1 penalty. Now, neither one of these guys are great deep safety, middle of the field, Ken Griffey Jr. type safeties. Neither one of these guys. But as far as in the run game and short area in the flat middle of the field, they're going to be there. Like I said, neither one of them are great center fielders and can play post safety and go get stuff with great range. But everything else, these 2 guys can do it, and especially working together. So split field stuff, they get it. They get after it. They fit in the run game. They can rotate up and down and do a bunch of different things. And this is their best room on the New England Patriots team. So let's go through all of them together and see what the scores are for the team. Quarterback room, 30th. Running back room, 26. Wide receivers, 32, which is last. Tight ends, 19. Offensive line, 15. Defensive line edge, 16. Linebackers, 5. Cornerback, 26. and safeties third, which is the best on the team. Add them all together, divide them, that's how you get average. If my math people don't know, they come out to be 19.11111, and that puts them as the 24th team on the More Sip2Tally power rankings. Let's take a look at their draft picks and see how they fit into the team, some of which we've already talked about. Back up, back. Draftees. All right, here we go. Starting off with their first pick, the number 3 pick of this year's draft, Drake May from North Carolina. Eventually, he's probably going to be the starter unless Brissett just comes out and is uncharacteristically good. Jalen Pope probably going to start at wide receiver because they have the worst ranked QB room according to me. Caden Wallace, offensive lineman from Penn State. Don't really know how he's going to factor in that O-line room because I think they're pretty good at O-line, but they drafted 2 O-linemen in a row. The next one was Layden Robinson, an offensive lineman from Texas A&M. So maybe they're not as high on their offensive line as I was. Maybe I missed something in that one, but we'll see how that plays out. Javon Baker, the receiver from UCF, who I think is one of the most complete receivers out there, that was kind of underrated. He started at Alabama, for those that don't know, transferred to UCF, had a good couple seasons at UCF. DB Marcel Dyer from South Carolina. They also drafted Joe Milton, which is interesting. They drafted Joe Milton, the quarterback from Tennessee, who has a rocket on him, who basically can stand flat-footed and throw the ball 65, 70 yards. Like, just stand there, feet planted. Yeah, 65, 70 yards. He ain't really got the final points of his game like some of the top-tier quarterbacks, Drake May, J.J. McCarthy, Mike Penix, some of those other guys. But as far as straight arm strength, he got it. He's athletic, so maybe he's a backup plan. Maybe, we talked about what's the guy's name? Bailey Zappi. Maybe Bailey Zappi might be out of there. Maybe Brissett. Brissett's the old guy in the group, so maybe he's the one out of there. So maybe Joe Milton is the backup plan, the groom for the future if Drake May don't pan out. Maybe. And then Jaheim Bell. We didn't talk about him in the tight end room, but Jaheim Bell, if you have not or don't know who Jaheim Bell from Florida State is, go check him out. The fact that he got all the way to the 7th round really surprised me, but he's fairly athletic. He reminds me of Brevin Jordan, who played at University of Miami, who plays for the Texans now. But he kind of reminds me of Brevin Jordan, like Isaiah Likely, some of these hybrid type smaller. Kind of reminds me of the Texas tight end that got drafted this year too. That's the mind frame that Jaheim Bell puts me in. But those are the New England Patriots draft picks, and so they are the 24th team on the More Sip2Tally power rankings. If you have not liked the video, please do so. Drop a comment whether you agree or disagree, or are they too high, are they too low. Let me know who you think the number 23 team is going to be tomorrow. And I appreciate you guys for coming out. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with me. And I'll see y'all tomorrow, man. Appreciate it.